Okay, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you guys go one by one and introduce yourself and tell what your favorite drink is. How about that? Mine would be Arnold Palmer, by the way. Just that would be mine. So go ahead, John.
I'm John Morsi, and I like Coke.
Yeah, he's just a plain guy, just plain old Coke. I like that. All right, Brian?
My name is Brian Alvarez. I am 17 years young, and I enjoy a Dr. Pepper.
All right, I am David Healy, and I got to stand for America and that sweet tea.
Sweet tea. Somebody had to be American. All right, sweet tea. Woo! Okay, well, we're going to just spend some time. We're going to kind of go back and forth from kind of serious questions, pulling you back to some of the things you learned and some of your small group times to some not so serious questions. So we're going to get to laugh a little bit and get to kind of pick your brains on what you guys learned. So let's get started. I wanted to first just kind of give a question to all three of you. That was really just describe a day at Summit. What is the schedule like? Because I know that was something I was wondering. I think summer camp in my head, but this is like college. So, but then you did activities too. So just kind of give us somebody start. It doesn't matter who. Just kind of give us, what is a day like? What's the schedule like?
Is it on? Okay. Hello? Okay. So breakfast was at 7:15. So if you wanted to catch breakfast, you'd have to wake up like at 6:45. 6:30 if you wanted to shower, whatever. And then breakfast is all the way up to 8:20. And then once you hit 8:20, we would all go to the church or to the auditorium, and we would have a session from 8:20 to 9:15, and we would have a 30-minute break, and then 9:45 all the way to like 10:35 or 10:40. And then we would have another 15-minute break, and then we would have a whole another hour session, like a 15-minute break, like session, lunch. We would come back from lunch, have like a whole hour session, then we would be off for like 2 hours, 3 hours. That's like free time. You do it, take a nap. Most people would take naps, play pool, hang out with people, go to the gym, whatever you wanted to do. And we would come back around, dinner was at 6 or 5:30, I'm not sure. And then we had session or worship at 7 to 7:30. And then from 7:30 to like 9, we would have, or 9 or 10, we would have session again. And then we would have an hour of small group time, and then lights out at 11:30. So it was very tiresome. Our brains were exhausted like every day. And then the same day, like the next day, we wake up again at 6:30, getting drilled by these people. We're just, telling us a whole bunch of things, and you take notes. So like you're like trying not to fall asleep, taking notes, but you have to do it for 15 days straight, so.
Looking forward to nap time every day. Yeah, it sounds like you needed that just brain break every day. So, cool. Thank you for letting. You guys want to add anything to that? I'm sure you got it all right because he was there, so it's not right or wrong. You want to add anything? Sounds like school. 4 sessions, lunch, 4 more, dinner. Yeah.
Me and David actually got up a lot earlier than 6:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would go running in the morning, so we would
Yeah, more like 5.
actually wake up.
I was about to say, you're the prim and proper ones, but never mind. They were working out. Okay, they're going for jogs. Was it cold? It's summer, but was it like 70s?
I was freezing.
No, it wasn't cold.
It wasn't cold at all. Okay, so it was suffering for Jesus. I just lost mine, didn't I? No, we're good? Okay. So suffering for Jesus, waking up early to go for a jog. I like it. Cool. Here's one. Is it true that no amount of alarm clocks or devices can wake up Brian Alvarez?
Yes, absolutely.
That is true. Okay.
Yes.
Well, I found out continually knocking and yelling his name works.
So the name works.
Yeah,
okay.
but you have to do it for like 10 minutes straight.
Okay. I'd like to give a defense. Okay. So there was 151 guys that went to the Summit Conference, and I was the one, like 150, and I was one. So I was the only one in the whole conference that didn't have a roommate. So if my alarm clock didn't wake me up, I had So I woke up at 8:31, and session started at 8:20. So I just got up, I just ran out of my room, like still half asleep, don't even know where I'm going. And then I show up to this to the session, and the lady that receives me, she's like, "Oh, don't worry, it happens all the time. like, good, just go in the session, sit in the back so you don't interrupt anybody. So I go in, and I sit in the back, like, super embarrassed. And my seat was, like, right in the middle of, like, the whole thing. So this guy comes in, and he's like, what are you doing? Are you late? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, no, go sit down right now. I was like, so then I had to, like, go, like, make, like, 40 people stand up. Like, everybody's looking at me. I'm like, whoa, man. And I sat down, and I'm just, like, super embarrassed. You know, so it only happened once, though. I set, like, 5 alarms in a row from then on.
But no tardy tank and no reminder for being late. That's nice. Okay, so there you go. No punishments for that. Just sit down. Well, you guys met a lot of Christian young adults like yourselves, and just being in that kind of setting. I mean, tell us what that was like. I'm going to go to David first for this one. Just kind of give us what that was like, in your opinion, to be around that many that they went for the same purpose. You know, it wasn't like they were forced to go. It's they chose to go and they had to pay to go. So I mean, tell us what that was like.
It was a good surrounding to be in, as I think the youngest person out of the whole thing. So I mean, being around a bunch of people that were a little bit older than me and then a lot older than me, it was nice to see how they were striving for God and trying to do His will. And when you're around teenagers that are trying to do the same thing as you, it's a lot of fun.
What encourages you? I mean, I said that to Brian before we started this morning, just that, don't be nervous. This is a time for you guys to do what the Scripture says. Paul says to encourage others, to spur one another on. I mean, almost like you're driving that spur into the side of the horse, that you guys can do that for some of the rest sitting here this morning, that you can encourage them to, take part in some things like this, or just share the things that God has taught them with their friends. So that's awesome. Anything else on that? What that was like? Anybody have just like a aha moment when you realize there's so many other people your age?
It was definitely nice to see that many people. There was over 300 people there, all for the same reason. From 15 to, I think it was 24 was the oldest. So it was basically from high school to college, everyone there for the same reason. So it was really good to see that many people there.
Yeah, if you guys have never been to something like Promise Keepers or like a Christian concert, those are the times that you realize that, man, just hundreds or thousands of people with their hand raised to, praising the Lord, and it's a really cool atmosphere to realize that, okay, I'm really not alone. I know 1 Corinthians says that when I face a temptation, or I'm not alone, but it's good to realize it, firsthand. So that's awesome. You guys covered some pretty deep topics while you were there, and some of those they were nice enough to be listed out for me here. Things like sexuality, gender, truth, worldview, why there's evil in the world, evolution, abortion, warnings on pornography, our confidence in God's word, economics, how not to read the Bible, marriage, family, Islam, biotechnology, doubt, and God's will. Pretty deep theological topics. I read that list and I wanted to go, so you guys are encouraging me. So any of those that I just read out, can you guys just give some, as I said those, did you have one that, oh yeah, man, I really remember something God taught me in that area? Can somebody chime in on that? Oh, man.
For how not to read the Bible, that was done by Mr. Turner. He did all the morning sessions for the first session for the second week. He did all of them. And he offended a lot of people when he did it, because he was going by the Bible, strictly going by it, showing how many things are wrong within the church. That was his first topic of how not to read the Bible, how certain people interpret things and take it very much out of context. So he was challenging us to read, when we read a certain passage, read the entire chapter or the entire book to get what was really being taught, not just a specific section.
So you would say if somebody's preaching or somebody's teaching the Bible and they do offend people, that's not a bad thing?
Depends on the topic, but generally I don't think so. Because when you're offended, you're realizing, wait, I'm not doing that. Why am I not doing that? So generally a good thing.
Good answer. I put you on the spot. Brian?
Well, my favorite speaker and my topic that really stood out to me was a Christian approach to homosexuality. And they introduced the guy before he got on stage, and they introduced him that he was a homosexual for 7 years in the homosexual community. He's been around that, and he went to prison for a whole other reason. And then while he was in prison, he applied to Moody Bible Institute, and he got accepted, and he graduated from Moody Bible Institute. And so it was really nice to see that, like, it wasn't just some guy throwing us a bone or something. Like, this guy was a homosexual in the homosexual community for 7 years of his life, and he shared upon, like, what we can do, how we can love them, and not make them feel, like outcast or anything like that. And it was really nice to see that, because it's something that we need to hear nowadays.
That's awesome. Thank you. David, you want to come in on biotechnology? Go ahead. No, I'm just kidding. Was there any one of those that you did, something to stand out to you?
The lecture that Alan Sleeman gave on Islam was probably the one I took away the most from, because it showed me that what I knew about the Islamic religion was like nothing compared to what it actually is. And I bought a book about it and everything. I've been reading through it, and it's probably one of the things I took away the most. So,
thank you. So we need to start an apologetics course just for you, because you're going to be the one that wants to defend your faith. That's awesome. Good to hear. Here's one specifically for John. After all these years of friendship with David, what did you learn about him by rooming with him? That brings out new things that you didn't know about a person, so share some of that.
He doesn't wake up to his alarms. No. They were going on for at least 2 minutes before he actually did
but I
turn
did
it
wake
off.
up to it. 2 minutes
Eventually.
in, I woke up.
Eventually.
He just didn't turn it off, and it was annoying me.
Yeah.
Because I turned mine off, but I'm getting ready while his is still going off, and he's just lying there awake, apparently. But
Yeah, if somebody else has to turn off your alarm, that's pretty bad, David. Yeah. What about you, David? What did you learn about John? Rooming with him. Okay, does he brush his teeth?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. We wanted to know that. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Got nothing?
I gotta think about this.
See, he cares about him so much he
Because-
doesn't want to share. That's the thing.
I'm trying to see what wouldn't hurt his feelings,
Aw,
but,
what a nice guy.
He's
Okay, we're going to move on, because if you
Okay.
can't figure out a way to
he's
say
he's
it.
generous. He let me have his blanket because I forgot mine.
Aww.
So, thank you.
Like in the middle of the night, you saw him shivering.
yeah,
and
he
just-
was cold the entire time there. Even when you didn't have the air on, he was so cold. So I just let him borrow my blanket until he got a care package from his mom. With it.
Purple.
Yeah.
She sent you blankie? That's awesome. I still have my blankie. It's okay. No. Brian, did you learn anything about yourself, rooming by yourself? No? Okay, all right. That's like a bachelor, just got your own apartment kind of thing. That's pretty neat. Okay. You got a chance to see some Bible scrolls. I think they actually showed them on the video that we watched for like 2 seconds. But somebody want to tell us a little bit about that?
Did you guys actually go up to it?
I looked at it.
You looked at it?
Okay.
So maybe you should say that.
They were really, I guess interesting was the word, because he had his partner, they had 5 tables lined up in a row. They unscrolled it only about halfway on those 5 tables. So it probably could have gone on at least another probably 50 feet. And he was telling us how they meticulously wrote a scroll, and if they did mess up, they'd have to wait for the ink to dry, then scrape it off and restart. And if they messed up the name of God at all, they'd have to bury the scroll and start completely over again. So that was cool. And how the lines were, how straight everything was. It was really, really cool to see it all.
Did he say how old it was? You remember? I don't
Thing.
mean to put you on the spot.
I think he said 1189 A.D.
1189.
was when they wrote it, yeah.
Wow.
I think that was when they found it. It was probably, I think he said around 4,000 years old.
Yeah.
So
That's incredible. how did they get their hands on that at Summit? That's incredible. Don't know. They dug it up.
Yeah,
They found it.
probably.
Yeah. That's really cool. Now don't shift in your seat or get scared. It'll be okay. Okay, we're on dry ground. But whitewater rafting. It'll be okay. How was that?
Well, we didn't go together.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we were with our own groups, and they made us make our own groups, like, right there. They're like, okay, just pick 5 people you want to raft with, and we're like, okay, okay. So we got to this place. We had these guides. They were crazy, and then they would make us go whitewater rafting. And at the very end, it was the last rapid. It was like a level 3 or level 2 rapid. I'm not sure. Okay, level 4.
Yeah.
It was pretty. I guess that's bad. I really didn't know what it meant. I'm from Miami, so I didn't know what it was. And then he said, "All right, does somebody want to ride the bull?" I was like, I don't ride bulls much in Miami, so I'm for it. And he was like, "All right, you're gonna get on the very edge of the raft and hold on to a strap while we go through the level 4 rapid." So I'm like, okay, And then very soon did I know that was a mistake. So I got on the thing, and I'm getting ready for it, and we hit the first bump. I'm like, this guy's trying to scare me. I got this. And then we hit like this rock, and we go like very up, and then the very next thing is like, and we just go straight, and I go face first into the water, and I thought I was dead. For like a good 2 seconds, I thought I was like the water hit me. I thought I was dead, and I just started swimming to the bank, and he's like yelling at me, and I'm still in shock. Like, this really just happened to me. Like, I'm not dead. And he's like yelling at me, like telling me to get on. So when I hold on to the raft, this guy's like, he didn't seem very strong, but he grabbed me with one hand, like pulled me up to the raft, and I was like, this guy is super strong. And then, that was a near-death experience, and you've got to have at least one of those in your life. So I got to have mine during the summer.
I actually did the bowl as well, except I didn't fall off. I held on for all 4. It was
Just to put that in there, Brian. You just wanted to let you know.
You go up, you go down, then you have another one, quick succession. Then there's another level 4 where it's the same thing again.
Yeah.
So it was.
Did you at least say yeehaw one time and like do this or not?
I had my left hand in the air.
There you go. All right, you're riding the bull, David.
I think.
I didn't ride the bull.
But you did have a near-death experience.
But I did fall off. Yeah, the guy at the beginning, I was like, hey, could you like flip the raft so we could fall out?
You asked him to flip the raft.
I wanted to get in the water. But he said, no, we can't do that. So we go through the whole thing. John rides the bull, and as we were about to get off and bring the boat in, he does this like weird strong turn or whatever on my side. So I'm like this, and I fall off. I was scared, man. I didn't know what was gonna happen. It was me, and then the guy behind me fell out.
I actually pushed the guy out. As we went sideways, I grabbed on and I used my right hand as a sturdy and kind of pushed him out. So.
Well, the water's freezing and it's moving pretty fast, and you can't get your footing, right? The rocks are slippery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you just swim to the bank. Is that what they teach you? You just swim sideways as fast as you can. Yeah. Wow.
There was actually a little part where you could jump out and swim.
Okay.
It was near the halfway point where you could swim for like a good 10 minutes. So it was fun.
So 2 lessons learned. Don't ride the bull. Yeah. And whitewater rafting is a near-death experience. All right. Sounds good. You guys already kind of gave some names of speakers, so we'll go by that one. Describe your small groups for a minute. Your connection to the rest of the people in the group, and like kind of how that all worked, how they did that, and your group leader, if you remember. I'm sure you remember them.
Well, me and John had the same small group because we're relatively the same age.
And you have the same leader all week? Like your small groups are always the same leader? Okay.
Throughout the whole time we had the same leader, but small group was like, I don't know, it's when you bond really close with some of the other people. They try to keep it close to your age limit. So we were all around the same age. We were all talking and stuff, and like the second night we got really deep. And one of the guys opened up, our leader opened up. It got pretty deep pretty fast, and those are like the bonds that you make that last a while. Like, I'm still talking to, I think, 2 of the guys in my small group, not counting John.
I remember camp leaders from when I was y'all's age, so it stays with you.
Yeah. For a small group, it was 6 guys all from the same floor as you, all around the same age, and by the second night we were pretty much spilling our hearts out to each other, which we barely knew each other, which is kind of weird. So we were learning a lot about each other. We would all hang out a lot. But it was almost like a spiritual maturity, almost. A lot of the guys had a lot to share about their past, certain things. But it was all where we could really seriously discuss what was happening in our lives and in what had happened that day. And our small group leader was...
He wanted to fight me every night. He was about to go into the Navy SEALs, right? So you know me, I talk a lot. I like to crack jokes and stuff. And he looked at me almost every night. He was like, "You want to go? I'll fight you right here." And, you know, I mean, he was a cool guy. Like John said, we all opened up. The first kid, he opened up, and then he like stares at me. He's like, "So, yeah." And I was like, "All right, I'll go and stuff." But I mean, it's a bonding experience, and it's very important.
Our small group leader rarely discussed with us. It was mainly just all the guys going at it between each other.
Wow.
So
Just kind of facilitating. You see the same thing, Brian?
Yeah. As far as like the people that were in my small group, so the very first night they asked us like a bunch of questions, like who stayed up the latest, like who's been like the one without most sleep, and then like all these questions. And there was this one guy who got like all 3 questions right. So I'm seeing this guy, like, this guy's annoying, like he's like whatever. So that's very night in my small group, I'm looking around, I see that guy. I'm like, he's in my small group. Like, I hate this guy. No, I was kidding. But then, so looking back on it, like if you would have told me that a bunch of like dudes would have like cried and just like shared with each other, I would have been like, nah, like I don't cry, you know. But then getting into small group, like, and they did a very good job picking our small group leaders. They were like all young, like out of college or just going into college, so they could all like relate to us, and like it wasn't like a 60-year-old man trying to tell us like what we're facing today, because we'd be like, that's nothing like what we're facing today. So they did a really good job. They were bonding with us, and pretty much these people are your family for 15 days because it's all you see. You eat with them, you sleep with them, like you play sports with them. Everything you do on a regular day, you do with these people for 15 days. So the bond that you make with these people is like incredible. And every night, like we would discuss all the topics we went over, and obviously it's a bunch of guys, and when it's a bunch of guys, like feelings, you believe it or not, guys get emotional. So it's like everybody's just like saying their feelings, like, you know, what's going on. And you know, a lot of the nights, like there were tears. I'm not gonna lie, like there were tears. So it was really cool. And yeah.
How do you guys think we could bring that kind of experience here to Colonial, those kind of small groups?
definitely by class. As we were separated from boys and girls, so all small groups were only boys, small groups only girls. So that would probably be another thing.
I think it's important to be with your age group.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there's an understanding of what you were all going through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially freshmen. They're like, yeah, I know what it is like to be a freshman, man. They can understand each other, yeah. Sorry, freshmen. That's just how it is. But, you know. Good. Anything else on that? Small groups? Awesome. Tell us some of the big ahas that you guys took away from Summit. Aha is kind of like the big lesson that you learned throughout the whole week. I mean, I know you guys learned so much. You know, it was like 7 sessions a day, 8 sessions a day. But, I mean, there's probably one thing that you walked away and you're like, yeah, I know that this is what God taught me, or this is what he wants me to change or do, or, you know, we don't have to get so personal with everybody in the room. But, you know, what was some of those ahas, Brian?
Well, I've been a Christian since, like very young age. I grew up in the church, and I thought myself, like, I knew a lot of stuff concerning the faith. But going into Summit, like, I was completely challenged day in and day out, and I found out so much stuff that I didn't know. Not just about my faith, but about, like, the Islam faith, about different worldviews and the worldview that most people take on today. So what I took from Summit was to be knowledgeable. You know, don't just enclose yourself into this thing where everybody else is not like you, so you don't talk to them, but talk to other people. And everybody, you know, Jesus died for everybody, you know, just as a homosexual, Jesus died for them just as much as he did for me. And not to, you know, like, not to just judge people, and to really be knowledgeable of what people are going through and understand, and read books. And they emphasized reading books so much. they recommended like 4 books a day, and I was like, what the heck? But yeah, I left with like a book list of like a whopping 5 books that not that much, but yeah, it's 5 books that I wanted to read, and it was good. So a lot of reading, and encouraged me to read my Bible more for the sake of gaining more of an intimate relationship with my God, but also to be knowledgeable, because I know once I get to college, like, these professors are going to be nailing me, and if they're going to try and disprove the Bible, they're going to say a verse, and I'm like, does the Bible really say that? And I'm going to be questioning my faith. So the whole point of going to college is to be prepared, and that's what Summit does. Be prepared for what you're going to go up against, and be knowledgeable so people can like pull a fast one. And that's what I took from Summit.
Thank you. Awesome. Anybody else?
Going into Summit, I thought I had a pretty good knowledge of what the Bible is, what it was teaching, things like that. But my first day in, it was kind of like a spiritual wake-up call that there is so much more that I don't know and will have to learn. And as Brian said, they recommended like 4 to 5 books a day. So I think they said try to read at least a book a week and you'll be good. But that probably won't happen with me. Probably reading 2 or 3 books a week. And Sean, which one's the older one? Josh or Sean? Josh McDowell was going over the books, what to read, how many to read, and he said that he reads at least a book a day. And even him being in it for so long, he's still going over it himself, and that was really, like, I really don't know anything at all. So
Humbling realization, yeah, that there's so much to God that you could never grasp it all. Thank you. That's awesome. David?
I mean, what they both said were like really big things that you could take away from it, but Sean McDowell did like this little thing where he would stand up and he would pretend to be an atheist, and it was to show us what questions we were supposed to ask, how to respond to some of the responses that he might have, and that atheist encounter was one of the things that I was like, whoa, I could really use this one day. So I was paying attention. That was one of the things I took back from it. And one of the books that we got was called Tactics, and it was about atheist encounters and
tactics in defending the faith.
Tactics, and yeah, there you go. And that was probably one of the things that I took back with Islam. So I was thinking about how to like combine the two of them, or even use them separately in different parts of my life and my career, possibly.
Well, we had some more questions on here, but we're going to go ahead and kind of wrap it up. But if you guys could kind of, I told you to ignore them for a minute and just pretend like it's just us, but now, poof, there they are again. If you guys could turn to them just for a second and give, to your classmates, to your school, to your friends, something that you, I'm sure while you were there, you had thoughts as you were learning things. Man, Colonial needs to know this, or man, the entire high school needs to know this, and just certain things that as you're learning it and as you're hearing it, you're thinking back to them. Is there anything that one of you would want to jump in and just say, yeah, I wanted to share this with my class?
Well, one of the things that one of the speakers said to me, and I was like, whoa, we could really use this in our high school, is our discussion about doubt and how we can always doubt ourselves, but we need to know that God's always with us and that He's willing to help us and push us through whatever we need. And that's the thing that I thought was what our high school needed.
Anything, Brian or John? Probably the things you've already shared is, some of what you would say, but anything else?
Being in Colonial for all my life, I've had a really localized idea of Christianity and stuff like that. But as said before, we are definitely not alone out there. There are others who can teach us, who want to learn with us as well. That there are a lot of other people out there who really want to find us and be friends with us. So don't give up.
Go ahead.
The whole idea of being a Christian, really, because you go to one of these conferences and all these people are Christians and they're studying the same thing you are, they're going through the same things you are, so it's not like you can say I'm by myself, like I'm doing this, no one understands me, because there's 300 other people your age that are going through the exact same thing on a daily basis. So one thing is that being a Christian isn't boring. Like, we went to the summit conference and we had like fun. Like, we were like having fun, we were laughing a lot, like the food was great, and just thought I'd mention that. But everything that there is to being a Christian, like, you can have fun and you can meet other young Christian people, and there are Christian girls, like there are, okay, but yeah, to being a Christian is not just about, you know, living a boring, strict, simple life. You know, God is a good God. God is creative. God is fun, and you just got to get to explore Him. And people see God as this, like, as just this ruler, like, you know, and having a relationship with God. And the more you get to know Him, the more you're going to realize and get to know His character and how He really is.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. I don't think there's anything really more important than some of the things you guys have said, you know, some of the things that God taught you, and how just to realize that, especially that you're not alone, that there's so much more to learn, and that there's other people that are wanting to do that, you know, just like you are. So thank you guys. If y'all can give them a hand real quick. Take a bow. It's, you know, it's not easy. It's not easy to get up in front of your entire middle and high school and share. So I'm really proud of you guys, and I want you to know that. Thank you for being honest, and thank you for just being willing to do this. I know you got a jeans day out of it, but that's not the reason you did it, and I know that. So, you know, yeah. So that's a perk. But if you guys would, each of you, if you would, if you're willing to do this, if you'll just short close in prayer, and we'll start with David and we'll end with Brian. And I'm going to give you guys one last shot to be leaders and to close this in prayer. So. And Mrs. Morrissey, any announcements or anything you want to say at the end, or that'll close it? Okay. Well, if you guys will join us in prayer, go ahead, David.
Right. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and share our knowledge on what we have learned from our summit experience, Lord. I pray that throughout the rest of the day, Lord, you'd be with us as we reflect on what we've talked about, Lord, and we learn more from the teachers, Lord, that we'd retain the knowledge from them especially, Lord, and know that they're always there if we need them, Lord. I pray that you'll be with those that are really needing you right now, Lord, that you'll be by their side, you'll have their hand on their shoulder, Lord, and I pray that you'll be just showing your presence through us as we go throughout the rest of the year, Lord.
Lord, we thank you for allowing us to share with our peers what we learned, that we got to go to a open thing and learn so much about God, how much we can learn from you. And using the summit catchphrase, because ideas have consequences, we definitely need to learn what ideas are out there and how to combat them. We thank you for allowing us the opportunity to learn and hopefully to share with our peers over the course of the year how we can best grow together, mature together, and share together.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for today's day, God. Thank you for this morning and for how smoothly it's been. We thank you for the student body, God, and for granting us the opportunity to speak to them, God, as brothers, as friends. I pray that you give them the grace, God, to continue on, to finish this week, God, and to finish the whole school year, God, with excellence, God. We thank you for Summit and for the job they're doing and for the impact they're leaving on young kids' lives everywhere, God. We pray for the rest of today, God, that it'll be smooth, God, and you just grant us the grace to have a good rest of the day.
God, we do just thank you again for this time, for their willingness, these three guys, just to share, to open up their hearts, not as deep as they were in their small groups at the camp, but we do thank you that they were willing to share. And God, just be bold about what you taught them and what you showed them through that time. God, I pray that the rest of the students in this sanctuary would not see this as just an emotional camp experience, but God, something that you really orchestrated and did in their lives. God, you gave truth. You showed yourself to them, and they can have that same experience. So we ask that you would just continue to do that through our student body, that you would show yourself to be real and true and 100, as Mrs. Pacina said, and the ninth graders. But God, that you would just continue to show yourself in our school and in our student body, and God, that you would use us and even these 3 students, continue to use them to be leaders and to be examples. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, well, you are dismissed to second period. Thank you.